So there's an idea that I define as a landmine um, topics. And I haven't discussed this a little bit in Officially Casually, but it is basically that I feel like there are topics out there that are in which you are supposed to have a very specific standpoint on them. That if you do not have that standpoint, that you're somehow I don't know, not good or of not favorable social qualities. Um, and one of those topics, one of the, maybe like the more famous ones, is flat Earth and round Earth. You know that if you're not on a very specific one of the two sides, you're gonna undergo ridicule. Like people are not gonna listen to you. People are not gonna like take you seriously. Even though it's just one thing and it doesn't define who you are as a human being and the things that you've done in your life and the meaning that your life has and all that. And another topic, and it's the topic for discussion today, is climate change. And this is a topic that I feel like, in a sense, I don't really believe in, and I've been exploring my thoughts on it for a while, and I think where I stand is not that I don't believe people have an impact on the environment. It's not that I don't think the environment is changing on all these kind of things. I think where I stand is that we are fighting. We're not fighting the thing that we think we're fighting. I don't think we're moving in the direction that we're hoping that we're moving. I think what we're doing is, I think we're in a position in which we're very afraid that the house in which we live might not be there someday, and we don't know how to live without the house. The house being the planet, of course, and the environment. But I think where a lot of my struggle with the topic is that I feel like we're making this move, and we're making this forceful push for the betterment of the planet. That is really a forceful push. Like, okay, here's where I'm going. I don't think the planet's gonna go anywhere. I think this planet has been here for a really long fucking time, and the way in which it will likely go somewhere is that it gets nuked by a meteorite or something like that. It just gets popped out of existence and blasted out and turns into a bunch more meteors. And if that happens, we're fucked. Like, it doesn't matter. We're with the technology that we have today, we're done for. Now, if we keep having the effect that, let's say that the changes in the environment are absolutely our fault. Just let's go with 100% our fault. And in a few years, the environment is going to be so fucked that there's not going to be any humans around. Like the environment will just not be able to sustain human beings, and maybe won't be able to sustain a lot of the life that it has on it right now. I think this planet would integrate that environment into itself, and from it continue on what nature does, which is to manifest itself in new and different ways, to try things out, to evolve. And here is where I think maybe we need to explore further. And it is that I think we're somehow convinced that we are sort of like outsiders in this planet, that somehow we are acting upon nature as creatures who do not belong to it, that somehow our actions cannot be moving accord to the actions of nature, um, and that somehow we are the ones imposing that. The idea that maybe the reason that we exist, that maybe that if nature put in the ground blocks for us to become a part of evolution, that maybe nature wanted us to be where we are, that maybe nature wanted to manifest in the way that we are today, that we are acting as nature is, that the fact that we're around is sort of like nature exploring itself in a different way, in the same way that nature explores itself through creating a flower and then creating millions of different types of flowers and trees and animals and fish and all these kind of things. That I think in this fight that we're doing to preserve the environment, we are forgetting that we are the environment, that the environment is not a separate thing from us, that nature is not a thing that exists outside of us, but it is a thing that exists in us, that is a thing that exists of us, that the reason we're having such a problem with the changes in the environment is because we're having a lot of problems with the changes in ourselves and the changes with each other. That since we cannot deal with what's going on within ourselves and with the people around us, we don't know how to voice that and explore that together. We're putting that out in the world and looking at the world as a reflection of us in this sense. And one of the things I think about it is that in this separation of man and nature, I think one of the things is we gotta save the trees, right? Because I remember hearing as a kid, the trees are important because they like clean the air and they do all these things that are really useful for us and all these things. But from the standpoint that we are today, I don't think so. Say that sure, we need trees. We need trees to help us clean up the air and so that the planet is livable for us. I think where we stand today and where our disconnect from nature stands today, it would not take much if we were to develop a technology that cleaned the air faster than trees did. I don't think it would take much for us to convince ourselves that it is okay for us to just wipe trees out, because now we have developed the technology to master nature. Now we have developed the technology to master and replace trees. You see, and here's the thing, that sure, this is a very noble goal, and the ideal outcome of it is very welcome. However, I don't think we're prepared to make the decisions that we need to make to get to where it is that we truly want to be. And I also don't think we know where it is that we want to be. That just like that example that I made of the trees just now, we think we know a lot, right? We have we've written a lot of books, we've done a lot of talks, we've opened up a lot of schools, and we taught a lot of kids and a lot of college students, and we've graduated a lot of PhDs, but we still don't know what the fuck is going on. We still don't know what effect trees have on the rest of the trees around the world. We kind of look at the rest of nature as this manifestation of like grand, I don't want to say stupidity, but almost of just randomness, as if there wasn't any logic to it, or as if we are kind of like the pinnacle of intelligence in it, and the rest of it is just odds and stats and probabilities. But we don't really know. Like we don't know if the way in which plants interact with each other. We don't know in the way in which nature interacts with itself. We don't know the way in which climate interacts with everything. That, again, like we're so disconnected from our position in the universe and our position in nature, and what that means, that I feel like we first need to take a step back and figure that part out. Because if not, I think we're going to continue to make harsh decisions in hopes of improving things, but we don't know what improving things is. We don't know where it is that we're actually leading ourselves. That I think oftentimes in the effort of making things better, what we do is fuck things up even further. I sometimes wonder, there things that we do today that are very impactful to the environment, such as burning coal, which is not only supposedly very harmful for the environment, but also it is immensely how do I put this? In the same way that it impacts the environment, it has a very, very, very severe impact on the people that work on that industry. It has a very severe impact on the people that work and just live in the vicinity of places that burn coal. However, even though it is fucking human beings, even though it's fucking us, even though it's something that's directly impacting where we stand ourselves, it is something that at some point we approved, and it is something that at some point we said, hey, this thing is okay. And it is something that we continue to say, hey, this is okay, even though we have a sort of like consensus acceptance that it is something harmful. So isn't it interesting that the group of people who cannot make decisions for their own health are trying to make decisions for the health of this marble of a manifestation of nature that it is this planet, that somehow the baby is trying to give grammar lessons to the parent.